I like disguises. Just kind of recap the weekend. Obviously, it's a great team win. Hard to win at Lambeau. They got a really good team. I thought we got off to a really good start, but I also think we found out, we certainly found out that it's hard to win in this league. Things can change on a dime, and that happened. So there was a lot to learn from that standpoint. We spent a lot of time talking about that yesterday. But I also think adversity is good. It's hard to win in this league. I think to go through that and come out of it, with a win, is good for us as a group. But it also, shows us how quickly things can turn. But to feel that, to go through it, and to come out on the other side, I think it's ultimately, it's a good thing. It's hard to win, and oftentimes to get in those situations and almost train your mind to withstand, whatever negativity is going on or whatever thoughts are going in your mind, to withstand that and push through it. It's hard to get reps on those things. They kind of happen, by chance oftentimes. So I thought that was good for our group. So yeah, again, lots to learn. For us as a staff, us as a team, we're still building. We're still trying to get better. We're still, finding the strengths and weaknesses of, each guy in our group. And but through 4 weeks, I think we've done some good things, but still some improvements to be made.
Brian, when you say a lot to learn, what can your team take from that fourth quarter?
Yeah. I mean, what I can take is, in the division, on the road, one play can turn it. So we've just got to, be on top of our techniques, our fundamentals, all the little things, all the details. I think, it's human nature to, kind of take your foot off the gas a little bit. And we can't do that, especially against an opponent like that, and really any opponent in this league. And momentum is a big thing. There's ebbs and flows in every game, and momentum is a real thing. It is in this game. It certainly is, and we've got to try to keep momentum and stop them from gaining momentum. And I think you do that with. Again, all the fundamentals, the communication, the techniques, the fundamentals, the playing together, playing team defense, and I mean sometimes you don't know until you're in it, and thankfully we were able to come out of there with a win, but we certainly talked about the ebbs and flows in the game, the momentum shifts. And the power of that momentum, it almost got us, but we were able to kind of take it back in some instances also. With some plays, I thought Murph played great as far as that from that standpoint. Taking it back with the interception and the punch out, and Beasley jumping on it. So that's football in the national in this league. Again, it's hard to win, especially against a really good opponent like that. And especially in the division.
When you say foot off the gas, you talking about the individual efforts or the play calling, or what do you mean?
I've certainly looked at myself and said, hey, I could have done a better job putting them in better, positions, and nobody's harder on themselves than I am. So I got to do a better job from that standpoint. I think I could have called it a little bit better to put them in some better positions in the fourth quarter. And I think it's a total team effort, but I'll certainly take a lot of that responsibility. I told them that too. I'll be better for them, so it's a learning situation for me too.
How do you fight that human nature? Like, you can say you want to bring that same level of intensity, but when you're up 28, like how do you fight that?
You just you talk about it. You talk about it. I mean, I'll tell them it feels you feel good, but that what that leads to is a sense of comfort that you can't have playing this game. It's a violent game. There's competitors on the other side, and I thought we did a good job of coming out in the third quarter and getting off to a good start. And I'm not going to sit here and say that we got complacent and all that and just kind of shut it down. That's certainly not what happened. Our guys played hard the whole way, but again, you can, like you said, it's a little bit of a human nature. It's really more even feeling good about yourself, not really letting your foot off the gas. It's just hey, we're doing some good things. We're going to continue to do some good things, and some things don't go the way you expected them to, and then there's maybe a wave of those plays, and then we just got to play through it. But that's also football, and that's football, and that's how things go in this league, and it's good to feel that. I really believe that. I think it's good to feel that. It's good to be able to coach and talk about it, because it's not something you really talk about all that often. You don't talk about a lot of the positives, or the things you talk about, but when things are going the other way, and those feelings, the emotions that go with that, it's good to go through it, and then know you got to have the strength to push through it. And I think our guys felt that and pushed through it and did a good job from that standpoint.
Right. How did you feel like their tempo affected you guys, if it did at all?
I think we see tempo in really on a weekly basis. I think they caught us in a grouping early in the game. I believe we had to take a time. We took a timeout early. We were in a bigger grouping. We wanted to get into another grouping. I think that's something we've seen and we'll continue to see. Because we have a few different packages, and maybe they don't want to see all the 4 outside backers on the field. So I think that's kind of standard operating procedure. I want to say they did it a couple more times in the game, and we were in some other groupings where we got a little bit more on the menu as far as a third down call or third down things we liked. But that's a little bit of the gamesmanship. Like I said last week, Flores, very good from that standpoint, and did a good job as far as trying to trap a group on the field, and then it becomes a little bit of a chess match, and you got to have a call with this group, with every group, and I think ultimately we were okay from that standpoint. But I think that's every week. We're certainly going to get it this week. Aaron Rodgers is the king of trapping the defense out there and trying to get you to jump and trying to get 12 men on the field. So, I'm sure we'll see it again this week.
You talk a lot about limiting explosives. Just what did you see from that standpoint in the second half of maybe what allowed them to create some of those?
Yeah, I think it's, a combination of things. They made plays. I think sometimes you got to give them credit. They got a good quarterback. They got good receivers. They got a good, coordinator, head coach, good play caller. So, they made plays. And oftentimes you got to tip your cap. I think it's not always going to be, perfect. That's just not how this game goes. So, I think I would start right there. But, there's certainly some things we could have done better. Some calls I could have made to put us in a little bit better positions. Some techniques, some fundamentals that we could have played a little bit better. But, hopefully, we make those corrections. We talk about it in meetings. We talk about the situation. And, the flow and ebbs and flows of the games are, have been a little bit different this year, I would say. I think, offensively, we're doing a great job. We're putting points on the board, and I think the games are changing. where they're really not on their game plan. They're somewhere else. They're in a kind of try to get back into the game kind of situation. So we've just got to be able to adjust a little bit quicker. Myself for sure, and getting that information to our guys. And I think again, all learning opportunities for us to learn and grow and get better.
Brian, you ever see the Rodgers' cadence backfire like that on his own team, the way it did on Sunday, and could that help you? Because they might be a little leery to go with it again, keep going with it.
I think, Aaron Rodgers is obviously a future Hall of Famer. He's been doing this a long time. I'm sure they're going to get that corrected. And he's going to do what he's been doing, his entire career, which is using the cadence, trying to get people to jump, trying to identify what the defense is doing. He's one of the best to ever do it. I don't really, I'm not really spending too much time thinking about that part of it. Yeah, it did. It was, but I'm just going to go with the 20 years of that I've seen for a long time, rather than not trying to downplay it at all. I mean, it looked like maybe it was a little bit of an issue for him, but there's just so much footage and history there with him getting guys to jump, identifying what the defense is doing, that I just don't see it changing very much, and it certainly will be a challenge for us.
What do you see in their protection? So bad. And when you think about what you guys did at US Bank Stadium with the Texans and all their false starts, and is it hard to give up, a home game when this could have been a US Bank Stadium 4-0. I know it's a little bit of a loaded group
Yeah.
there, but,
Yes, I would say it's a little loaded, but I'm just, I wouldn't say I'm gonna punt it, but I'm very happy to go to London and have that experience and have that experience with with this team. My family's going out there with us, so that'd be great. That's gonna be great. My boys are excited to go out to London. So is my daughter. They want to hear the accents. Big Ben and things of that nature. So I'm excited to do that. And I've played out there, so there's some crowd noise there as well. Not like US Bank, but there is some crowd noise. So that's my long-winded way of punting that question.
Does the crowd noise ever make sense there to you? I don't know if people are going to like Rodgers more than the Vikings or the Vikings or whatever, but when the times I've been there, it just seems like it doesn't really make sense with the game sometimes.
I like the environment out there. I think maybe for me, it's just, being across the pond and just being in a different environment and playing football. It's the game we all love and enjoy playing, coaching, and I expect there to the crowd to be into it like they normally are, and whether they are as rabid fans as we have here at US Bank or here in this country. I know they enjoy watching the game. So for that I'm thankful, and I'm looking forward to getting out there.
Brian, the other day, Darnold said that Jefferson's catch on the sideline was one of the best he saw, but I wasn't sure when he said best he had seen, if he meant that one or the other one from the other day's game. I guess from a defensive perspective, what is it like practicing against him? How do you evaluate your own corners when they have to practice against him? And what is it about him that just allows him to do those things that he can do?
Yeah, Jets is one of the best I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of great receivers. I could sit here and talk about him for hours. The route running, his hands, his route running, his ability to go up and get it. But what I will talk about is, that's what everybody else sees. I'll talk about him as how he works and the person he is, in this, almost a year and a half that I've been here. this guy works. This doesn't happen by chance at all. So whether it's on the jugs, working on his route running, sitting there talking to Keenan McCardle about just, disguises and coverage structures and where the open space is and how to get to that space and releases and, he went into the game and he's blocking, So, this is a guy who, I know we see all the highlight plays, but he does all the little things too. And I think that's, I know it goes unnoticed, but it doesn't go unnoticed to the people in this building. He is who he is for a reason, and it's not just the talent and the athletic ability; it's his work ethic. He's a great person. He's a great teammate, and I'm very fortunate I feel very fortunate to be around a guy like this.
Brian, what do you think about the way Pat Jones is playing and how he's breaking through this year?
I think Pat's playing. He's playing some high-level football. And, this is a similar conversation to Justin as far as the way he worked in the offseason, the way he trained. And he looked different. He looked different in training camp. He looked, bigger, stronger, faster, more physical. He's got more familiarity within the defense, so he just understood what his role was, which allowed him to play even faster, and it's showing up in game. He's another guy who, is really just team first, unselfish, and he'll do something to help somebody else make a play. He's got plenty of those, whether it's setting the edge or defeating a block and making a TFL or penetrating for somebody else to get a pressure or sack or hit on the quarterback. He does a lot of good things, and I think he's seeing some of the fruits of the labor of the off season he had. Excuse me.
Ryan, how does it help a coach whenever your greatest player might be your hardest worker?
I think when all great players end up as leaders within the team, whether they lead vocally but really more by example. So when you have a great player and that player is one of your hardest workers, I think everyone else has almost no choice but to follow that lead. Because if you want to be great, you normally look at the people in front of you who kind of, are showing what the path looks like to greatness. So, I think it really doesn't get any better than that. When you have a guy who's, shows up on the field and then is, the first one in the building, he's lifting, he's, watching film, he's taking care of his body, he's showing young guys how to be professionals, he shows maturity, all those things, you put them all together and there's leadership there that, I don't think really, it certainly, let's call it, sets the bar as far as, how to work, how to practice, how to conduct yourself. And, I think we've got a few guys like that. Thanks, guys.